My name is Sarah Wilson. I am 46 years old, and if you saw my life from the outside, you would probably think I was very lucky. I owned a large company, I lived in a beautiful house, I drove expensive cars, I traveled whenever I wanted, and I never had to worry about money. People often said, "Sarah, you have everything." But they were wrong. I did not have everything. I had money, but I did not have happiness. Every morning, I woke up alone. Every night, I went to sleep alone. And between those moments, I spent my days pretending I was okay. The truth was simple. I was rich, but I was lonely. Many years earlier, my life was different. I was young, full of dreams, full of hope. I wanted a family. I wanted children. I wanted someone to come home to, someone who would ask, "How was your day?" But life had other plans. While my friends got married, I worked. While they raised children, I built my company. While they created memories, I attended meetings. I kept telling myself, just a few more years. After I become successful, I will focus on love. Sadly, success arrived. Love did not. One evening, I sat alone at my dining room table. The table was large enough for 8 people, but only one chair was occupied. Mine. I looked around the room, the expensive furniture, the beautiful decorations, the shining lights, and suddenly, none of it mattered. Because a beautiful house feels empty when there's nobody inside it. That night, I could not sleep. I walked through every room, the guest room, the office, the kitchen, the living room. Everything looked perfect, yet something was missing, something money could not buy. The next morning, I sat in my garden with a cup of coffee. It was quiet, too quiet. Then I noticed someone working near the roses, a man, maybe 30 years old. He was fixing part of the garden fence. I had never seen him before. Softly, a few minutes later, he noticed me. He smiled politely, then he walked over. "Good morning." His voice was calm and friendly. I smiled back, "Good morning." He pointed toward the broken fence. "I hope you don't mind. Your manager asked me to repair this." I nodded. "That's fine." Normally, I ended conversations quickly, but something felt different. Maybe it was because he looked honest. Maybe it was because I was tired of being alone. I don't know. "What is your name?" I asked. He smiled politely. "Daniel." "And yours?" I laughed softly. "Sarah." For the next few minutes, we talked. Nothing important, just simple things. The weather, flowers, coffee, life. But when he left, something strange happened. The garden suddenly felt empty again. The following week, Daniel returned, and then the week after that. Slowly, our conversations became longer. I learned that he lived with his mother. I learned that his father had died years ago. I learned that he worked hard every day and that he always put family first, something I had forgotten how to do. One afternoon, I asked him, "Do you ever wish you were rich?" Daniel laughed softly. Then he surprised me. "No." I looked confused. "No?" He shook his head. "I wish my mother stays healthy." Pause. That's worth more than money. His answer stayed in my mind all night, because nobody had ever said something like that to me. Everyone wanted money, everyone wanted success, but Daniel seemed different. And slowly, without realizing it, I started looking forward to seeing him. Then, one rainy evening, everything changed. I received a phone call. It was from the hospital. At first, I thought they had called the wrong number. Then I heard a familiar voice, a frightened voice, a voice I had never heard before. It was Daniel. "Sarah," he said, "I don't know who else to call. My mother collapsed." My heart stopped, and what happened next changed both of our lives forever. I grabbed my keys and rushed to the hospital. The rain was falling heavily outside, but all I could think about was Daniel. When I arrived, I found him sitting alone. His head was down, his hands were shaking. For the first time, he looked completely helpless. I sat beside him. Neither of us spoke. Finally, I asked, "How is she?" Daniel looked at me. There were tears in his eyes. "The doctors are still checking." Silence. Hours felt like days. We waited together, and during that long night, something changed between us. Not because of romance, not because of attraction, because of trust. For the first time in years, someone needed me, and strangely, it felt good. The next morning, the doctor came. Daniel immediately stood up. The doctor's face looked serious. "We found a problem with her heart." Daniel's face turned pale. "Can she be treated?" The doctor nodded slowly. "Yes." Then he explained the cost, a very expensive cost. I watched Daniel's face. I knew he did not have that kind of money. Without even thinking, I made a decision. I told Daniel, "I will pay." His eyes widened. "What?" "I will help." He immediately shook his head. "No." I was surprised. Most people would have accepted instantly, but not Daniel. "I can't take your money." I looked at him. "Why?" He took a deep breath. "Because I don't want you to think I'm staying in your life because of money." Silence. His words hit me hard. Nobody had ever spoken to me like that. Most people saw my wealth first. Daniel saw me first. And for the first time in many years, I felt something warm inside my heart. Something I thought I had lost. Hope. Eventually, after many discussions, he accepted my help, but only as a loan, nothing more. Over the following months, I spent more time with Daniel and his mother. His mother was kind, very kind. She treated me like family. One day, she smiled and said, "Sarah, this house feels happier when you visit." I laughed, but inside, those words touched me deeply, because nobody had called me family in a very long time. Slowly, I began to imagine something dangerous, a future where I wasn't alone. Silence. But then, everything fell apart. One evening, I overheard a conversation. Daniel was speaking with a friend. And then I heard something that broke my heart. "Sarah deserves better than me. I can never give her the life she deserves." Silence. I froze. My heart sank. Did that mean he didn't love me? Was I imagining everything? That night, I cried alone, for the first time in years. And the next morning, Daniel disappeared. Days passed, then weeks. Daniel stopped answering calls, stopped replying to messages. The loneliness returned, even worse than before, because now I knew what it felt like to care about someone. 1 month later, I finally received a letter, a handwritten letter, from Daniel. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were simple words. "Sarah, I left because I was afraid. Afraid people would think I stayed because of your money. Afraid I would become another burden in your life. But every day away from you has been painful, because the truth is, I love you." Tears filled my eyes. For a moment, I could not breathe. Then I noticed an address at the bottom. I immediately drove there. When I arrived, Daniel was standing outside a small house, waiting. The moment he saw me, he smiled, and I cried. Not because I was sad, because I was finally happy. I walked toward him, then asked the question that had lived inside my heart for months. Why didn't you just tell me? He looked down, then laughed softly. Because I was scared. I smiled through my tears. So was I. For the first time, we were completely honest. No walls, no fear, no pretending. Two lonely people choosing each other. A year later, we got married. Not in a huge ceremony, not with luxury, not with millions of dollars, just family, friends, love, and happiness. Today, when I come home, someone is waiting for me. Someone asks how my day was. Someone laughs with me. Someone shares dinner with me. And every night before sleeping, I remember something important. Money can buy comfort. Money can buy beautiful things. Money can buy a large house. But money cannot buy love. Money cannot buy family. Money cannot buy genuine human connection. I spent years chasing success, and I found it. But success alone was not enough. Because at the end of the day, the richest person is not the one with the most money. The richest person is the one who has someone to share life with. And that is how I learned that being rich means nothing if your heart is lonely. Thank you for listening.